Welcome to In the Cockpit.
It's the 12th. You know what that means. It means we didn't have to watch anything.
But we have. We've watched a lot of things. Content has been pouring into our souls.
Yeah, but we didn't have to. That's the important part.
For instance, I kind of put a pause on Doctor Who, which I said I'd probably have finished by this point. I don't.
He's a liar. Never trust him.
Never trust me to finish a show. Are you insane? Anyways, I'm Josh. That's Justice. So we have the names in there for everybody.
Hello.
If you haven't been listening before, you are listening now. We're co-pilots. This is our interstitial content where we just talk about what we've been interacting with and consuming over the last month.
I mean, we don't always talk about the things we've been consuming or interacting with. Sometimes just the things we're thinking about. It's whatever we want it to be.
It's interstitial content, and it doesn't have to follow the rules.
Because there are no rules.
But like I said I'd probably have Doctor Who done by this time this month. And I think if I had kept on the pace that I was going on, I would have, blown through it.
Oh, yeah, probably. But you burned yourself out on the show like you've done every time in the past when you've gone to watch Doctor Who.
It's just too long. There is too much.
And your memory's so bad, you have to start over from the beginning every time.
I think right now I could just start from, the second Peter Capaldi season and be okay.
Surprising.
Yeah.
Give it about a month and you'd feel like you need to start the entire thing over because you would remember nothing.
Oh, man. Buffy is the worst for me. It's like my, it's my white whale. Buffy is my white whale. I need to finish it so badly. I love it. It's one of my favorite shows. But by about the time that Willow becomes evil, I stop caring about the show. Every time.
Yeah.
If I can get through season 2, that is. Seasons 1 and 2, a little slow.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Though season 2 does have the best episode.
Yeah, season 2 is great. It's just getting to season 2 is the rough part. Season 1 has some bad episodes.
True.
Bug Lady, Robot Demon.
Yeah.
The Robot Demon episode does actually introduce one of my favorite characters, though, which is the Cyber Wiccan, the computer teacher.
Yeah.
I love her. She's so good. But having put Doctor Who on hiatus, I started Lost.
He did. He started Lost. Yay.
Okay, so there are shows that are often regarded as staples or genre defining even.
Yeah.
And Lost gets bandied about as this really important show, despite the fact that everybody talks about how bad its ending is.
That's true, yeah.
It's kind of like Game of Thrones if Game of Thrones' ending hadn't been, literally the worst thing in the history of television.
I mean, probably not the worst thing in the history of television there is that...
there is a sitcom with Hitler.
I was literally about to mention it, yeah. But, one of the worst things in history, yeah. Definitely probably the most disappointing thing in television history.
And somehow Lost didn't do that. Yeah?
Yeah.
So,
I was going to say created for television content on television. There's probably been disappointing, news. There has been. I know this.
Yeah, so I started Lost because I want to, eventually backtrack my way through all these shows that people talk about how great they are, including MASH. God,
MASH is fantastic. I've watched almost all of MASH already before.
There's something like 300 episodes of MASH.
Yep.
I've seen a good majority of it. I've never seen the finale.
Oh, the finale is fan-fucking-tastic.
It's an hour and a half, 2 hours and a half.
Something like that, yeah.
But watching Lost, first season's actually fucking goated. I started it not expecting it to be that great despite how great people talk about it. For some reason, Lost never struck me as a show that was great. I've seen trailers and stuff for it, that looks okay. Season 1's good.
Yeah, season 1's legitimately good.
I'm now about a quarter way through season 2, and it feels...
like it doesn't know what it's doing at all.
Cobbled together.
Mm-hmm.
That's my best way to put it. It feels like they didn't know what they were doing with the show, and that they were handing scripts to actors before they filmed it.
Yeah,
which
it tightens up a bit by the end of season 2, but it has issues here and there that are definitely noticeable.
I really do like the actor playing John Locke. Very good actor. I can see how he won awards for his role.
Yeah,
I'm growing to really like Sawyer.
Mm-hmm.
His character started off as a person I was okay with just hating.
Yeah, which was kind of the point of his character.
Yeah. Also, I'm coming around on Jin. I did not like him, but season 2 is filling his backstory out in a way that
making Jin a lot better.
Yeah.
From the small bits I know about the show, apparently Jin's actor talked to productions about stuff because he didn't like the way he was coming across as an Asian stereotype.
Yeah, him and Son both had
conversations with the creative crew who were like, hey, you're making us very stereotypical and we don't want that. That's a bad portrayal.
Well, apparently Jin and Son's story was pretty well laid out before getting into season 2 because I remember...
Yeah, apparently they talked to them about it during season 1.
Yeah, and they're like, we're going places with it. I promise you it's not
we're just starting from this point that people will be like, oh, okay, and be able to enter on the ground level.
Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to like Jen, starting to like Sawyer. The main character, Jack and Kate, not a fan of either of them.
Not really.
Hurley's great. Charlie's great.
Two of my favorites from Lost, having made it like a season deeper than you are Saeed and Hurley.
Saeed, like, runs the gamut from where sometimes I'm like, yeah, love Saeed. And sometimes I'm like, man, Saeed's a terrible person.
Yes, he's a terrible person, but he's still a good character. Every time he's a terrible person, he's still a good character, so I enjoy his character in the show.
Yeah. But yeah,
that's not necessarily true for other people.
Enjoying Lost. Being a quarter way through season 2 means I'm like 20% of the way through the show.
Roughly-ish, yeah, I guess, by season distribution.
I wonder if I'll finish it. Here's the thing. You could tell me, you, the audience, or you, Justice, or you, any of my friends, could tell me to watch a show, and I might start it, but it's unlikely I'll ever actually, like, give it a solid go. It's not because I don't trust your guys' opinions. If you tell me enough, I'll eventually, like, go out of my way to watch it. But something about watching shows people recommend to me, just something in my brain.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that say stuff like that. So, I mean, I understand that, I guess.
I think what it is, especially when it's like friends recommending it, there's a social pressure, not just to watch the show,
but to also enjoy the show as you watch it.
Yeah, and I don't want that social pressure. Like, I don't want to watch Vampire Diaries and have to like it. I want to watch Vampire Diaries and people will shit on it and rip it apart.
I mean, that's the entire reason to watch it, in my opinion.
But I'm watching Lost because a creator I follow on YouTube, Billiam, he doesn't need the shout out from us, but
he does great content, so
is working on a multi-part series about Lost. And I really want to watch his videos.
2 multi-hour long parts done, and is working on a 3rd one.
I've watched the first part because it's just about season 1. Great. That's how I got the backstory about Jin and Sun and stuff.
I mean, and it gets to season 2, kind of.
It touches season 2, but it's actually But that's why I'm watching Lost, is I want to watch this content. It's just this, like, part of me that in order to consume this, I have to consume this first.
You want to be able to understand it entirely, even though the video is about explaining Lost as well.
See, I don't want, because he's going super in depth on it, I don't want to, like, have his opinions in my head when I'm watching it.
I get you, I do.
And I've always planned on watching Lost at some point, so...
Yeah, I understand, I guess.
I don't want his opinions corrupting my beliefs because I heard them first.
Yeah, it's valid, I guess.
Yeah. But I haven't been watching Doctor Who. I did binge The Only Murders in the Building, though. I think we reviewed that. We did review that.
We reviewed it quite a while ago, but we finally finished watching all of it.
Binge the fuck out of it. It has 2 seasons now. Yeah. Both seasons are very good. Season 1's ending's a little tropey.
What? No. From the show that relies on a lot of tropes, but calls them out, makes fun of them to make it meta.
Lampshading doesn't make it good, but somehow the show's still very good.
But the show's still good.
Yeah. Lampshading does not make it good, but you can still lampshade and be good.
Yeah, exactly.
That was episode 55 of Co-Pilot, so that was August this year. Not that long ago.
I could have sworn much longer ago.
Yeah, we reviewed it in August. That episode went up late because I was sick with COVID.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was this August.
Yep.
Terrifying. Time is weird.
But yeah, we finished Only Murders in the Building. I finished the show we just reviewed. Fuck, my brain. I'm not okay with this.
I'm not okay with this, yeah.
That's good, but I hate it. I hate it with a passion.
Yeah?
It ends on such a cliffhanger.
And there's no 2nd season.
If you haven't watched...
It cost too much money to produce during quarantine, so, Netflix cut it.
If you haven't watched I'm Not Okay With This yet, the episode did just come out 10 days ago. Very good show. We really enjoyed it for the review. Enough that I went back and binged it all like a couple days later. And it's great how to explain it without spoilers. Yeah, it's just, they were setting up for a season 2.
Yep.
And they had a solid setup. And then they just got canceled because of a pandemic.
Yeah, very much so.
Part of me hopes that, like, these shows that got canceled because of the pandemic, like, will eventually get picked back up again, because I get canceling them during the pandemic.
Yeah, pushing production would make sense.
Yeah, they should have just pushed production, but...
But pushing production generally, I think, comes with having to pay people a small amount of money. Like, if you don't officially cancel it, but you push your production, I think you have to pay them, because you're like, hey, we still have a job for you, and we need you to be ready to do the job, which is a very tenuous space to be in Hollywood, I assume. Actually, I know that part's true. But I'm not sure if you do get paid during a push production, but I think you do. I think you pay, like, a fraction of your wage.
It makes sense. Wrong. It's just upsetting that, like, COVID caused so many shows to get canceled. I know it's such a tiny thing to get played, but, like, oh, COVID canceled TV shows. Yeah, it's a little...
It's fine. It's only like 650,000 dead in the U.S. alone.
Yeah, like, that's my point. It's, like, shows being canceled, not really that big a deal when compared to the loss of human life.
Yeah.
That said, for all the humans that are still alive, we could do it uncanceling some shows.
I'd agree with that. You know what else I would like, though? If companies weren't purchased during LBLs and they're taking on massive debt, so having to do layoffs and or, cut productions and call them, like, just giant waste of money and effectively make them unlicensable by that production company for, I don't know, 10-ish years.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember what you're talking about.
All of HBO. Everything HBO's been doing.
Oh, yes, that's right. Gravity Train specifically.
Gravity Train upsets me, and it's not Gravity Train, by the way. It's Infinity Train, but I appreciate your attempt.
Memory. Non-existent.
But, Infinity Train, and also just, like, all the other shit they've done is also sucks.
You know the Batwoman movie we were supposed to get, right?
Yep.
They were picking between doing a Batwoman movie and another movie?
What?
Batman Beyond.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. Fuck.
And they went with Batwoman, and they finished filming it, and it's ready for release. And then they just pulled the plug on it.
Yeah, it's because they can claim a larger loss on it if they finish the film entirely.
I get it. They're cooking their books because of the Warner merger, but...
Yeah, which I don't actually think HBO's was a OBO. I don't think it was a leveraged buyout, but, like, still not great.
Yeah. You know what was great, though? Ring of Honor Final Battle 2022. Look, I'm not going to pretend that I'm a Ring of Honor mark, but I was a WCW mark, WWE mark, missed the entire Ring of Honor train. I didn't know what independent wrestling was, really.
What a loser.
Yeah, I saw some local shows when I was a kid, but like...
Not Ring of Honor.
Not Ring of Honor, yeah. But Ring of Honor had a pay-per-view a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to pretend like I know who all these people were, or that I'm invested in all these people, because Eli Isom, no, I don't know who he is. He was teaming with Cheeseburger, though. I know Cheeseburger. Saw him when he was wrestling in New Japan. Loved Cheeseburger when he was wrestling in New Japan. Or like Blake
Sadly,
Christian.
Sadly, comes off Mary McCheese. That was taken.
But like the card was legit. The main event was Chris Jericho versus Claudio.
Yeah.
For WWE fans, that would be Cesaro. And match was so good. Winning with the giant swing as a submission maneuver.
Yeah.
So good. Never done before. It's never happened before in the history of like professional wrestling, as far as anybody can tell.
Okay.
Such a
nice, I guess.
It was a good moment, especially with the stakes. Cesaro losing, having to join the
Jericho Appreciation Society.
Yeah, like I actually honestly thought that's where things were heading, because it made sense with the Blackpool Combat Club falling apart, and like,
yeah,
glad they didn't go there. Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia for the Pure Championship match. Not a lot to say about this. Yuta won, which is great.
Okay.
But more importantly, both of these two are like the future of wrestling. They're like 24, 25 years old. They've got 15 plus years in them. They're just going to keep putting on bangers. These guys are... but the match I really want to talk about...
Okay, continue. Proceed. Go forth.
FTR...
yes, okay.
Versus the Briscoe brothers in a double dog collar match for the Ring of Honor Championships. Now, I'm going to be upfront. I'm really upset that FTR lost.
Yeah, because FTR had 3 tag team belts, and you wanted them to have all 4 that they are capable of.
They were the number one contender for the AEW belts from like February till like literally last month, and they never pulled the trigger to put the belts on them.
Yeah, because they didn't want to put all 4 belts on one tag team.
That would have been so good. They had the AAA, they had the NJPW, they had the Ring of Honor. Give them the AEWs, even if it's only for a couple months.
Nah.
Stack them up. Put the belts on the boys. But they lost to the Briscoes. This was the rubber band match for them. Their third match in a year, because their first match was last year at Final Battle.
Yeah.
This thing was fucking brutal. So much blood everywhere. Like, there was blood pooling on the floor outside the ring, which is wild. I think Jay Briscoe cut a little too deep.
Nah, that happens sometimes.
But match was fucking legit. It was very good. All the spots were good. I love FTR. Everything they do, I love.
Yeah.
I missed the last 2 matches of the Briscoes because I haven't watched a Ring of Honor pay-per-view in the history of ever.
Okay.
I only watched this one because I had some credits on Fight TV, so I was like, spend my fake money to watch real wrestling. But yeah, I probably need to go back and watch the other Briscoes FTR matches because they're so good together. They have chemistry. They're so good. But yeah, that's what I want to talk about on wrestling. Very great show. Super excited.
Cool. I mean, though, arguably you spent fake money to watch fake fighting, yeah?
Fake fighting. Real wrestling.
Yeah, but you spent fake money to watch fake fighting. I spent no money to watch real fighting.
To be fair, some of those weren't fights.
True. We are particularly talking about Ludwig's Mogul Moves, chess boxing, which, if you don't know, weird. You probably should if you're on the internet. Like, it's massive.
So over the last 2-3 years, specifically celebrity or influencer boxing has become a very big cash cow. But influencer boxing has blown up. Thanks primarily to Logan and Jake Paul. Not that I want to thank them for anything ever, except for putting on hella good matches, Logan Paul. I hate you as a human being, but goddamn do you wrestle well. But yeah, thanks to them, influencer boxing's blown up. And chess boxing, I would never say it blew up, but like this was the blow up moment for chess boxing. Chess boxing is this wild thing
that has been around since 2003. And it is, you play chess and you box. You don't do them at the same time. You do a round of boxing, a round of chess, a round of boxing, so on and so forth. And you either win by boxing or you win by chess.
And the way it pans out is across 9 rounds, 5 rounds of chess, 4 rounds of boxing, with a time on the clock, 2 minutes per round for chess.
In traditional chess boxing.
2 minutes per round for boxing. This is traditional chess boxing rules.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And you have a time clock with, I think, 15 minutes on it for professional chess.
I don't know.
Maybe 10 minutes. Let's see. It's 5 rounds, 2, 2, 2, 2. So probably 10 minutes on the clock.
I don't know, man.
And in between the rounds, you box, like you said. Which doesn't sound like it would actually, like, change a lot for boxing. I mean, for chess, like, first time I heard about chess boxing, I was like, this feels like 2 independent games that have no actual influence on the outcome.
I did not, because I have taken massive blows to the head before and been like, man, it's really fucking hard to think right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hit in the head too. Like, I'm not gonna...
Yeah, and I was able to extrapolate from past personal experience, be like, yeah, that would make chess harder.
They have time between the rounds, though.
Not a lot, and you're still reeling from being hit a bunch by people who've been trained to hit very, very hard.
So I think really the thing that factors into chess boxing isn't the fact that you're getting hit in the head.
You're also tired.
Yeah, it's getting the winded. It's having your heart rate elevated. It's like I think it's less the like.
I think it's a little bit of all of that.
His fist makes him dumb. Like I think it's a little less than that, and a little more playing chess under cardio pressure is not something people are used to.
Yeah.
And going from like fighting to an intellectual thing is shifting in your brain, and your brain doesn't do that very well.
Yeah.
But anyways, Mogul Moves Chess Boxing, which was 7 rounds instead of 9, because this was amateur chess boxing with amateur boxing rules and amateur chess rules.
Yes, but to start off the event, they did Smash Boxing, which was a creation of Ludwig's own design, apparently, which was just
a fictional sport that is now real.
Which was sub out the chess rounds for games of Smash Brothers, 4 stocks, general Smash tournament rules, and you could win by the first person to get 3 wins in games of Smash, or by boxing, TKOs, knockouts, all of that.
And if across the 4 rounds of Smash and the 3 rounds of boxing, there was no TKO, knockout,
you went to the judges for a decision.
3 wins in Smash, you go to decision by boxing.
Yeah. So our first Smash boxers were Toussaint and Spud.
I don't know who either of these people are.
I recognize the name Toussaint. I don't pay attention to most esports, so I just know the names that I've vaguely heard in the background. I've heard Toussaint's name. That's as much as I know. But Toussaint defeated Spud via TKO in the second round. So they played a game of Smash, and they had 1 round of boxing.
This was Puff versus Marth, right? Spud was on Jigglypuff, and Toussaint was on Marth.
I think it's the other way around, because I think Spud took it in Smash, and then Toussaint won with the boxing.
Yes, that's probably right. Yeah, that sounds right.
And honestly, the boxing was a very quick match. Spud couldn't keep his guard up, and Toussaint was ready to go at it.
Seeing Toussaint only had like 6 weeks of training for this was fucking ridiculous. Like, some of these people in this event got good at boxing fast. Yeah. Toussaint wasn't the most impressive boxer we saw out of this.
No.
But it was an impressive event, all said and done. Round 2 was
our only other Smash Box event, and it was
KJH versus Fiction, and this was Fox versus Falco.
Yes. And apparently these two have been friends for a very long time, and had joked about fighting, so they were quite happy to legitimately fight each other.
And Falco dominated Smash, and that was Fiction was playing Falco.
Yeah. So the thing about the Smash Boxing is, while they were playing, they were still wearing their wraps from boxing, so their fingers didn't have great movement, which, according to some of the commentators, might be part of the reason why KJH was playing more poorly, because apparently, out of the two, Fox has more actions per minute, so you have to push the buttons more, basically, and it cares a bit more about the speed of what you're playing than Falco does.
This match, so neither of us are really into Pro Smash, like, watching Pro Smash.
Yeah.
But this match was highly impressive on a Smash. Like, some of the recoveries and shit.
Yeah. I don't watch professional basically anything, but I don't mind sitting down and watching basically a pro at anything do what they do. I won't go out of my way to do it, but watching it, I'm always just like, it's nice to see people perform at an exponential skill level because they've put in a hard work for that skill.
But not only was Fiction, like, dominating in Smash, first 45 seconds of the first round of boxing, Fiction was getting toasted.
Yeah.
But KJH fucking gassed himself so hard that in those last 45 seconds of round 1 and then the minute 30 in round 2, Fiction was dominant.
Yeah.
So even if Fiction hadn't won by Smash, he was going to win by boxing.
Yeah. And so, like we said, Fiction then proceeded to defeat KJH via melee in the 5th round.
Yeah, 3rd round of Smash.
Yeah. And KJH was just fucking wiped, man.
I think KJH may have took less than 5 stocks off of him across the 3 rounds of Smash.
I think it may have been like 6, but yeah, that sounds about right. But that's the Smash boxing cleared up, and we start in on chess boxing with one of my most anticipated matches of the evening.
Honestly, there was 2 people I was watching this entire event for, and that was in this first round of chess boxing, Stans. Because one of our friends is
friend of the show who's been on twice now, 3 times, 2 or 3 times,
yeah.
Kantz
is the head of production for Stans. He does the editing, he does content production,
and he's done some really great videos recently leading up to the chess boxing with Stans, and they've been joys to watch. And it's just, I started watching Stans mainly because, hey, my friend Kantz is editing for him. I'm gonna support the man
because Kantz stopped streaming, and we gotta get our
and I gotta
get
Kantz content in some form somehow. And I do like his editing style, which is probably why he got the job editing. Makes sense. And then I was like, man, you know what? I think I like Stans too. Stans is pretty cool.
He's pretty funny. I think, I'm not a big Stans frog, but I was a huge fan of his knockoff of Taskmaster, which is honestly one of the best British game shows ever made.
Task Manager was fantastic. You're not wrong.
And that was what made me like Stan's content. That was before Kantz actually started.
It was roughly about the time that he became an editor.
He became Stan's editor during Task Manager.
Yeah.
Or I think right before, right after, something like that.
Somewhere right around there. So the first match of actual chess boxing was Box versus Stans. Apparently Box is a well-known League of Legends player and Teamfight Tactics player, which, I'll be honest, every time someone says TFT, my brain still goes to Team Fortress 2. So
same, actually. I when I'm reading about something and it says TFT, I'm like, oh yeah, Team Fortress 2. Except Team Fortress 2 is now stylized TF2.
Yeah, which it wasn't before, so fuck you, Teamfight Tactics. No, I completely understand that. So anyways, Box versus Stans for the first actual round of chess boxing. And honestly,
Box is rated over 400 points higher than Stans in chess.
But Stans was fucking delivering on chess. Stans
dominating the board. Just straight up dominating.
He was doing fantastic on the board. We went to the first round of boxing,
and they were much closer matched in boxing than I expected. Having kept up with Stans and his training, I honestly expected Stans to kind of blow Box out. Box was in it.
Yeah.
Dude can box, apparently.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, this match did go to Box because Stans...
It was in the second round of boxing, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Because Stans apparently had been having trouble with his shoulder before this, and it was occasionally slipping out of socket and dislocating, and it did dislocate during the match.
Which is the worst way for it to end. He was winning on board and in ring.
In ring was a lot closer, I think.
It was a lot closer in ring.
Especially in that second round. And then his shoulder just fucked up on him, which it sounded like he lost that way, but he did a fantastic job on board and in the ring.
Yep. It was really cool to see this event. Going into round 2 was people I don't know.
Going into round 2 was the other fight that I was looking forward to.
That's right.
It was Abroad in Japan and Overt Flow.
A last-minute substitution. Overt Flow wasn't originally scheduled for the contest or the show.
So Abroad in Japan, if you don't know, which is fairly popular on YouTube, but maybe just not your niche, is a YouTuber.
Travel blogger.
He's a British man who now lives in Japan. Moved there 10-ish years ago, a little over, to teach English, and then just started doing YouTube. And is now a full-time YouTuber. Does a lot of travel stuff, interviews people. It's a really cool channel. Great editing on that as well.
Travel blogging lifestyle. Yeah, Japanese travel blogging lifestyle.
With some of the best editing I've seen on YouTube channels, in my opinion.
Yeah,
because they're literally just shot like television.
Plus, he's actively friends with some of my favorite YouTube content producers, the Anime Man, Joey, and Sea-Dog VA.
Also Giguk. Giguk's good too.
I said some of my favorite YouTube content producers. I said what I said.
Yeah. But we have Chris Broad from Abroad in Japan going against Overflow, who I don't know.
Yeah. Overflow had, I don't remember how long to prepare for this. It wasn't near as long as Chris did.
But Overflow is also a practiced jiu-jitsu fighter?
Yeah, which that comes up in this match a little bit. In a way, it shouldn't. Because honest to God, Chris was advantaged in chess.
Yes. So each person had a little pre-fight interview that they did a few days before, and then they aired before the fight. Apparently, Chris had been focusing on his box boxing because his original opponent, he was fairly certain, would beat him on board, so he was going to beat him in the ring. And then his opponent got injured, and his replacement, Overt Flow, Chris was fairly certain would beat him in the ring, and he would have to beat him on the board, so he was a bit unprepared.
That said, Chris had made it a goal this year to be the best year for fitness for him, and so he's been working on his fitness all year long.
He fucking cycled Japan, and ridiculous, like, not horizontally, but vertically, though. The way that makes Japan difficult to cycle.
I think cycling across Japan horizontally or equilaterally would be like a short day trip.
No, it would still be hard depending on where you picked, because Japan's just like mountains in the middle of it.
But yeah, north to south.
And which is really fucking good for cardio, which is very important to boxing. And he also trained with Nicholas Pettis, a like great kickboxer. And he trained with him in general for boxing, but also to participate in a Spartan race, which if you don't know, they're fucking crazy. Look one up on YouTube.
But unfortunately, Overt Flow, Chris was giving up a couple inches in height.
Quite a few inches on reach.
3 or 4 inches in reach.
Yeah.
And I think he was even giving up some weight on Overt.
I think, maybe a tiny bit.
And all of that combined with Overt Flow's training in grapple-based martial arts led to this being a very hard fight for Chris in the ring.
Honestly, Chris had some really good hits in there, but because Overt's just practice, he fucking tanks hits.
Overt was abusing his reach, which is exactly what you should do.
That's what you do. You do that all the fucking time.
He had a longer reach. He was abusing his reach. But anytime Chris would get in underneath his guard, he would immediately grapple up.
He would clinch up, which clinching is allowed in boxing. And in a higher level of the sport, you're more likely to see your ref, instead of breaking up the clinch, basically tell you, well, fucking punch out of it, which is good generally for the smaller guy who's in there inside the reach and going at it, which would be Chris, but because it's amateur boxing, basically anytime someone clinched up, you break it up and you start over again, which means anytime Chris managed to get in there, all Overt Flow has to do is clinch it up.
And then he's back at advantage.
Yeah.
So Chris did end up winning on the clock in chess.
Yeah, they were the first to go the full 7 rounds, and honestly, the boxing and the chess was not as great. But the boxing and the chess were both good overall, and I was honestly surprised by everything I saw in the ring.
Yeah, it was, honestly, a lot of these influencers, a lot of these streamers surprised me at how good of boxers they are.
Especially this next one.
I don't know who either of these people are. Hugs and Toph. I know nothing
Hugs
about
and
Toph. It's spelled Toph.
Yeah, the most I know about Hugs is from literally watching the Stans YouTube videos, where I know Hugs or Hugo trained with the same trainer as Stans, was Stans' sparring partner, and then this event let me know that, hey, Hugo was a last-minute sub-in. He's been training for a little less than a month.
I think they said he threw his
first punch November 7th, I believe, his first boxing punch.
Yep. Dude fucking killed it. He was a fucking machine. I don't remember how many rounds this went. You probably have the stats.
First round in boxing. He won by TKO. The ref stopped it
Hugo fucking killed here, dude. Like, the dude had insane form, his movement was good, and Toph just was not ready. Fuck, dude. This insanely impressive. But that match was pretty short and took us into Lawrence versus Amon.
So, Amon is a grandmaster chess player, and Lawrence is an international master.
Yeah, so in chess boxing, that makes them both pretty equal. In long-form chess, obviously Amon has the advantage as a grandmaster, but when you got 5 minutes on the clock and you're getting your head smashed in every other round, that kind of goes out the window. That said, nobody expected this match to go the way it did. Lawrence looks like a boxer. He's got the build, he's put in the work, and he's definitely been training the boxing portion. I assume they both were focused on boxing training because they both know that they're both very good at chess.
Though, honestly, it was surprising me to see Lawrence Trent lose this. No offense, as quickly as he did, because Lawrence Trent is part of an actual chess boxing club.
Yeah, in Berlin, he's part of the original chess boxing club.
Yeah,
that founded itself in 2005.
But let's be clear here, it's not because Lawrence wasn't good. It's because Amon put in so much fucking work. This man was just fucking throwing power.
So if you check Reddit or Twitter, there are people who think this match was called too soon. But all I have to do is say, go back and watch the VOD on Ludwig's channel.
And specifically watch them replay why they made the call. Because you see Lawrence take these 3 heavy hits very quickly after one another.
Before Amon got his first knockdown, about 20 seconds before the match was called.
Yes.
He got a knockdown. He got the 8 count. Lawrence stood back up.
Yeah.
They went back at it. Amon, like you said, hits his flurry of like 3 blows.
All to Lawrence's head. And you see Lawrence stumble out, and he is stumbling on his feet. He does not have his bearing under his feet. His gloves are dipping, and that, for a ref, is generally a sign of, hey, this guy might be concussed. It's time to call the match. So the ref fucking called it in favor of...
The best theory I've seen online, because after the match, Lawrence was very salty. Like, he had a bit of time on the mic.
He was very salty, and he was very coherent.
Yeah, but my best theory that I've seen on Reddits was he got hit so hard that the motherfucker blacked out for a second.
It's entirely possible.
He doesn't remember stumbling. He doesn't remember almost falling on his face again.
Yeah.
He's like, why'd you call it? I was good. He wasn't good. The motherfucker was done. He got toasted.
Yes. Now, up next is the most controversial of all the fights.
This isn't controversial. Everybody agrees.
Yes. By controversial, I mean the most against the ruling of the match.
Everybody agrees. The ref fucked up.
Yeah, the next match is Dina Blancaya. I might be saying that last name wrong. I'm probably saying that last name wrong. Versus Andrea Botez.
Which, Andrea Botez is famous as one of the 2 Botez sisters. They're famous, like, fitness Twitch streamers.
I'm unaware of who either of these people are.
When Logic and Cance were down for the wedding, in the States for the wedding, Cance and Logic and all of us were talking about the Botez twins. Something was going on Twitter with them.
Oh, I didn't.
Or TikTok, Twitch with them.
I vaguely remember a conversation in my brain at that time was like, I have no idea who these people are.
That's when I was introduced to them.
The people I've most recognized out of all this, because the matches I was looking forward to, was the one that we just talked about with chess players. I have a very specific area I know, and it's weird, okay?
But this match, with the full 7 rounds...
Yes, and...
It should have ended in the last round of boxing.
Yeah, Andrea Botez was dominating boxing the entire time.
She got a knockdown, a technical knockdown on Dina in round 1.
I thought
it was round 1.
Okay. And Dina was controlling the board.
Yeah.
For the most part. But it was a slow roll. Andrea was putting up a good fight on the board, but Dina was not putting up a good fight in the ring. She was surviving.
Yeah. And Dina ends up winning because she wins in chess.
In the final round in boxing, the part that a lot of people have issues with.
So going into the final round of boxing, Andrea is 2 moves from check.
Yes. And Andrea needs to win in this round, which means she needs to get 3 technical knockouts or just a full-blown knockout.
So within the first 30 seconds of the match, first knockdown.
Yes.
Technical
knockout.
First stoppage for technical.
Stoppage.
Then we get another stoppage at like...
a little under a minute.
28 seconds, I think, is when the second stoppage happens.
30-ish, somewhere around there, yeah.
So we got 20 seconds left on the clock for her to get her last stoppage.
And within the last 5 seconds, we get a third stoppage, but there's not enough time for the ref to count the full 8 to count stoppage.
Now here's the crazy part. You say at the last 5 seconds. The ref pulled them apart with 9 seconds on the clock.
Yes.
And turned to face Dina, but didn't start the count until there was 5 seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
He wasted 3 seconds just checking on Dina, like, who was leaning against the ropes.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter, because in boxing, even in amateur boxing, unless there's specifically a rule on the card that you can be saved by the bell, you can't be saved by the bell. So as soon as he
declares the third stoppage, there's no reason to count. You've stopped it because that person's, in your opinion, unable to continue from here on out. Well, that's the third stoppage in a match, in the round, which means it's over anyways. You don't need to count it.
Yep. So Andrea should have won, but he pulled them apart, and they stayed apart for the last roughly 10 seconds of the match because the ref was not doing his job correctly, which took us back to the board where Andrea was 2 moves from check, so Dina wins.
Yes. I mean, apparently, another thing I've seen on the internet is that the ref, waved as if to call the match, and no one did anything, so he kind of just stood there confused for a moment, and that's why he started counting late, because he did make a hand gesture, which people say he waved to call the match, and no one rang the fucking bell, so he was confused about what to do, so he then started to count. So it's either purely on the ref, or the other argument is
it's on the timekeeper and the bell.
It's on the timekeeper and the bell, or kind of just, the side of production, which, let's face it, Ludwig's productions have had a few issues in the past with some organization.
The simple fact here is Andrea should have won. This is the only match where I feel like somebody legitimately got cheated.
Yeah.
Lawrence thinks he was cheated because it was called in the first round of boxing.
Do I feel emotionally cheated that Stans had to quit due to injury? Yes, but is it perfectly reasonable and understandable? Absolutely. Box was a good opponent still.
And Lawrence feels like he was cheated, but motherfucker got knocked. In this case, it was just straight up Andrea won this match. It was the best boxing rounds. Round 1 and 2 of boxing were the best rounds of boxing in the entire event, in my opinion. Round 3 was less good because Dina spent the entire time running away, which is against boxing rules. She turned her back and literally ran several times. The ref should have stopped her there.
I mean, arguably, I think the Amon and Lawrence match was also really good boxing. It was just really quick boxing, but it was very good. They were both technically amazing and technically great. Also, Hugo was very, very good. I think Toph just had a bad matchup there, basically.
Next up was a chess boxing match that was just a boxing match.
Yes,
with
which
chess
they were both
on the side.
Which they were both also doing well here boxing.
Yeah, Churdleys versus Myth. Churdleys apparently has one previous boxing match and another celebrity boxing event
where he was knocked out within I think they said 40 seconds.
34 seconds is when he was knocked out.
And then Myth, who I recognize by name, and I think I've seen him vaguely in other stuff. I don't entirely know.
I have no idea. The thing here is they both went in not really respecting the chess game, both looking to win this in the ring.
They combined still had a lower score than anyone else on the cards.
Well, the thing is, if you start a chess.com account, your rating starts at 700.
And they together have 600.
Yeah. The game ended up being decided by chess.
By time on chess, and Churdley's lost by time.
Yeah.
But in the ring, during the boxing, they were both well contested. They were both doing very well. And honestly, I think it was probably one of the biggest turnabouts on the crowd, because the crowd very much thought Myth was just going to win.
Dominate. They thought Myth was going to dominate.
I think partially is because Churdley's played it all very comedic, and also he made it acutely aware, and we were made acutely aware by commentating that, hey, Churdley's has fought before, and he took a knockout in 34 seconds.
I think really for this, the entire match was really just about Churdley proving that he could go multiple rounds.
All the rounds that they had for the boxing, yeah.
Yeah, because, like we said, 34 seconds. And
honestly, he fucking proved that he's been working at it, and congrats to the guy. And then we have our final chess boxing match. Disguised Toast. Yes, Disguised Toast versus Point Crow. I know who both these people are. That's surprising for me.
I know both the names, but I'd never seen Point Crow's face until this moment.
I hadn't seen Point Crow's face until a week or so ago when I found his IRL Mario Party thing on YouTube, and was like, that'll make good background noise.
Oh yeah, you did watch that. So yeah. Going into this match, I think the consensus was this one would be decided either in the ring in Point Crow's favor, or be decided on the board in Toast's favor.
Yeah, I guess.
That's how people, I think that's how it looked like going into the match from the outside.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't really know a lot about either of them. I do know Disguised Toast was the favored, the crowd favorite, not necessarily favorite to win overall. Mm-hmm. And honestly, again, they were fairly well matched up in the ring. Point Crow was controlling it at the beginning in the boxing, but Toast managed to come back and make a valid defense and honestly start to also take control. And probably about halfway through the second round and third, making the second round of boxing very unclear who would win in a decision there. Mm-hmm. But I think the third probably would have gone to Toast if it had gone to decision.
I think Toast conserved energy very well in round one, where Point Crow came out of the gates on all cylinders and gassed himself up.
And then chess, honestly, there were several instances where they both just honestly fucked up. Point Crow did it more, and that cost him the game.
Yeah.
Point Crow had several instances where he could have won the game, but exhausted, a bit bewildered by all the boxing shit, he lost.
Was this the only game decided by checkmate?
I believe so, yes. We had TKOs, we had a smash win. No, Dina and Andrea Botez's was decided by checkmate.
No, Dina won by resignation. They didn't go back to the board.
They called it checkmate.
Wins by resignation, round 4.
I mean, on the stream they called it checkmate, though, because they got there and it was acknowledged that she had checkmate, and they just called it. So
she was 2 moves from checkmate. She could have fucked up.
Yeah.
She wasn't going to. It was a very obvious check.
Yeah, but no, we've had wins by time advantage, we've had wins by TKO, multiple wins by TKO, actually. 1 win by true checkmate, 1 by a called checkmate on stream. Honestly, more of a resignation. 2 wins by time advantage, 1 loss by TKO in Smash Boxing, and 1 win by Smash in Smash Boxing.
And that brings us to the end of the card. That was it. The 9 matches. Honestly, a great event.
Except for the fucking slap boxing.
Yes. Ludwig, who did not box in his own boxing event, did, however, have a surprise 10th round where he competed in a match of chess.
Slap box chess.
Slap chess boxing or
slap chess boxing, yeah.
Or chess slap boxing.
Yeah.
Against Sea-Dog VA, who was part of Chris Broad's crew for his ring entrance.
Yeah, coming in with him, and then he was obviously watching the show, and so slapboxed, played chess.
This was just a chess match.
Yeah, it was a chess match with a small break in between to slap each other.
It was just
by
a chess
each other,
match.
I mean Connor got to slap Ludwig, and Ludwig brushed Connor's face gently.
So, slap boxing is a stupid sport that is getting a bunch of popularity this year, but it's literally just unprotected
ear cuffs.
Unprotected.
You cuff someone on the ear as hard as fucking possible.
Flat chops to somebody's head.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Honestly, it's very unsafe.
It's insanely unsafe. And luckily, from a viewer perspective, Ludwig and Connor didn't really slap box. There
was 1 slap box slap.
And it was Connor's last slap.
Yeah.
Mainly, they were just smacking on the cheek. Mm-hmm. And the soft part of the cheek. Not
still pain, but not like slap boxing where you want your hand to cup their fucking ear to make them dizzy, fuck with their head,
knock them off their feet.
Knock them off their feet, because you get more points if you knock them down. So if you make them dizzy by slapping their fucking ear.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was mainly a chess match, and It went down to the fucking milliseconds.
Ludwig lost on the clock by 1/10 of a second. 5 frames, like 42 milliseconds, I think is what it was.
Yeah, literally the end of the match was just, okay, how fast can you make a legal move and hit the clock?
Because they were both solo on time.
Mm-hmm.
But Ludwig lost by 5 frames. If he had managed to hit the clock, there was no way Connor could have moved a piece and hit the clock again before running out of time.
Yep.
But he failed to hit the clock. Connor wins. And that is the actual last match of the card.
Yeah.
Ludwig literally lost by like 1/10 of a second.
So like 5 frames?
Yeah, roughly 5 frames, something like 42 milliseconds. It was literally, if he had hit the clock just less than 1/10 of a second faster, Connor would have lost because Connor wouldn't have had time on his clock.
Yeah, he would have had no time to play.
Yep.
It's fucking ridiculous. The best part, though, was just like Ludwig hitting it, starting to celebrate, Connor managing to get it, and Connor celebrated, and then they're both just like, wait, who won? So they were sitting there for like 20 seconds, and then it was just Connor exploding in joy in the ring, and it was just amusing to watch. And that was truly the end of Ludwig's chess boxing event.
It's insane because Ludwig actually won Content Creator of the Year at the Game Awards this year.
Yes, before this event.
Before this event ever happened.
Yeah. But, speaking of the Video Game Awards, we did watch those as well. December's been a weird month. Okay, anything from the Game Awards you are particularly interested in or stoked about seeing? Or any awards that went out that you felt weren't right or you would like to see go somewhere else. I know for almost any category where Horizon Frontier, whatever it is, was nominated, you would vote for that and you would say that probably should have won.
Horizon Forbidden West. But
because I know there's a few games that I'm actually looking forward to.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff that was announced at the Game Awards that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Specifically, my big one, Hades 2.
Yep, Hades 2 got announced.
Look, I fucking hate roguelikes. I hate them. They're garbage, except they're not. Hades changed my mind. Hades made me a new man. And I'm both worried about Hades 2 and incredibly excited for Hades 2. Because how do you improve upon perfection? But also, more perfection.
Yeah. So there's Hades 2, which looks fantastic. I'm also vaguely looking forward to Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, I need to play the earlier one.
I need to finish it, yeah.
What is it called?
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order, yeah. I need to play Fallen Order. Game actually looked good, but I just haven't started
Honestly, it's a really good Star Wars game, in my opinion. It's more of a Souls game than I would like, but it's a good Star Wars game, so I will put up with it for the setting and the world, because occasionally I just want to be a fucking Jedi.
I need to play Horizon Forbidden West still. I don't have a PS5, so I haven't been able to play that. But it's got DLC coming!
It does. It also has an entire VR game.
Which means by the time I actually get to play Horizon Forbidden West, I can just get Horizon Forbidden West Complete Edition.
True.
Unlike me, who was an early adopter for HDD I've bought Horizon Zero Dawn 3 times now.
Yeah.
I bought Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition.
And then Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition for the PC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Horizon Zero Dawn is one of my favorite games ever. And the fact that it's got a sequel that I haven't got to play yet, super exciting. Yeah. The fact that the sequel is getting a large DLC, super exciting. And they also announced another Horizon property coming to
PSVR.
VR, and
yeah.
I've never wanted VR more.
So, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember most of the awards. Those don't really stick with me. That's not why I watched the Video Game Awards. Obviously, a lot of people put in a lot of fucking work. Always congratulations to them for winning. But also kudos to every other fucking person who's made a video game that people love.
I have the winners here if you want to get through.
No, I don't care that much. I'd rather just talk about games I saw that looked interesting.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to go through the award winners, we can.
I don't care about all the award winners, but
we can go through the ones you care about then.
I really enjoyed that Splatoon 1 best multiplayer game over the CODs and the Fighters of the world.
Though mind you, I still think Splatoon 3 looks like the worst of the Splatoon games.
I'm free to agree with that. The big one here, though, was God of War Ragnarok. Looked like it was going to sweep the awards while watching it. It won Best Sound, Best Narrative, Best in its Genre.
Best Character Performance, I believe.
Best Character Performance. Best for,
I don't fucking remember. It won quite a few bests. Honestly, the award that I'm most happy about winning.
Best Innovation and Accessibility was God of War Ragnarok. It looked like it was going to sweep the awards. Sorry to step on you. I was trying to remember that award.
Honestly, the best award that I cared about winning was for its music, because I do actually really enjoy the God of War Ragnarok's music.
That said,
it is very simplistic, but it's very well done because of that.
That said, I was afraid God of War was going to sweep the entire awards, but Elden Ring ended up getting the GOTY and the best in the RPG category, so we got that for us.
Woo.
And then best in mobile games went to Marvel Snap, which felt like a loss because like Genshin Impact's still out here doing Genshin Impact stuff.
And Marvel Snap's only been out for so long.
Yeah. Best adaptation was an interesting award choice with Cyberpunk Edge Runners, Cuphead Show, Uncharted, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, all being nominated but not winning, losing out to Arcane, which I get
Arcane is from League of Legends, which is very popular, but if we look at the lore of League of Legends, not a great adaptation entirely.
Cyberpunk Edge Runners was my choice for this, but
I would agree with that, especially because like Cyberpunk is very hard to adapt wrong. You kind of have to have the correct setting elements, and then you've adapted it correctly if you're not using the story of the game, because whoever would have guessed that a thing designed for a role-playing setting, that they focus really heavily on what the setting matters about.
One more award I want to talk about is the most anticipated game of 2023 award, which had us looking at Resident Evil 4 VR, or Resident Evil 4 Remake, sorry.
Why? Why are we talking about this? It's obvious what it went to.
Hold on. Starfield from Bethesda, Final Fantasy 16, Hogwarts Legacy, or the one that got the award, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. The reason I want to talk about this, because it is obvious, like you said. Obviously, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, Tears of the Kingdom
yes.
was going to win this award. The fun part is, the way I listed them is the way they listed them on the show. From
yes.
that exact order, Resident Evil 4 through to Legend of Zelda. Every game got a huge applause and a huge reaction, except Hogwarts Legacy. They said Hogwarts Legacy, people just became silent.
Yeah. Like, I vaguely want to play Hogwarts Legacy, but I'm not super anticipating it. I'm definitely not paying for it at full price.
I'm not buying it new. I'll buy it used at a GameStop. I'm not supporting...
I mean, I realize J.K. Rowling doesn't actually get any of the money from the proceeds of this game, but I still don't want to do that.
No, because just buying it does support her still. They had to pay her money to...
Nope, because if I remember correctly, I saw a huge thing about this a while back. The game production rights were bought outright from Rowling a long time ago. So the fact that it's, I think, WB's the people making money from this. And that's fine, because I still don't want to support Warner Brothers.
They were still actively working with her and her team to make the game.
Yes, but I don't think, which means she probably got a consultation fee, which means even if I buy the game, it doesn't matter. She got paid, but I don't think she makes any money from the game itself, unless she manages to sue like Sapkowski did.
What we're saying is,
it's
fuck
Britain and they
J.K.
have different
Rowling.
laws. Yeah.
What we're saying is, fuck J.K. Rowling.
But now, can we get to the games?
You're peepo-shying me.
Can we get to the games?
Yeah, okay. Back to the games.
So, literally, we just talked about it. It's a highly anticipated game. It's highly anticipated for me. I am looking forward to Final Fantasy 16, and I'm very happy that we are going to a more early Final Fantasy game series setting, which is a lot less low-tech, but I'm down with it, and it looks pretty, and it looks like Final Fantasy, and it looks like I'm going to have fun.
Similarly, I'm really excited about the new game by Ken Levine, the original creator of BioShock.
You mean the new game Judas, which looks like it's taking place in space?
Yes.
And might be about them liberals?
I'm just really excited for more games in the, like, but it's not made by the same company as BioShock. It's the same creator, though.
But it doesn't mean it can't have nods to BioShock.
Yeah, I'm just really excited about, like, going back to the BioShock Oeuvre. Oeuvre. Because BioShock, fucking great. I loved 1 and 2, never played Infinite because the story kind of peeved me, but apparently I've been a little bit misled on the story and should go back and actually play that game.
I love the visuals that we got for Armored Core 6, and I have played the Armored Core series before, but it is also developed by FromSoft. Like, FromSoft's doing a huge push of they're making the name really well noticed about it, and it makes me think we might be going with Armored Core in, like, almost a Souls-like direction, because that seems to be all FromSoft really does nowadays, which would make me sad, but it might end up being like the whole fucking Jedi Fallen Order thing where I play because I love the aesthetic and I love the world, and I'll just accept the fact that it's a game style I don't like.
So, gonna go hit some ones that I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start with the things I'm really excited for, and one of those is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which based on the trailer itself, I wasn't super excited for. I am hyped that it's Kevin Conroy's last performance, and like I'm glad he got to give a last performance that we, as Batman, that we get to enjoy.
Okay, I understand your sentiment there, but I would also like to say, man, that's a bad way of wording it. I am hyped it's Kevin Conroy's last performance.
That's fair. Bad wording. I'm hyped that he got to give a last
I'm
performance.
hyped that there's more Kevin Conroy to enjoy.
Based on the trailer, was not excited about this game, but based on things I've since learned about the game, more excited, because you're playing Suicide Squad, and the trailer just looks like you're just being villains, doing villain stuff, which, sure. But what it turns out is Justice League have went dark. They've went evil.
They've done it before.
And Suicide Squad's job, gotta clean them up.
Makes sense.
Sounds like fun. God, does it sound like fun.
So I am also looking forward to that but another game was announced, which is stylistically very different from the other games in its series, but my god, does it look like I'm going to enjoy it, and that is Bayonetta Origins, Cereza, and the Lost Demon.
Yeah, game looks legit. I liked Bayonetta, played some Bayonetta 1, didn't get that deep into Bayonetta though. The freneticness of it is just not my jam.
Yeah, it's a bit much sometimes for me, but I do enjoy it, and I enjoy the story, and I enjoy the setting again. And settings is generally like one of the biggest things to always sell me on a game, so the fact that we are getting...
Settings and aesthetic.
Yeah, that's what I care about. I'll put up with shitty gameplay if I have to. I'm not a fan of it, but I will put up with it if I have to. So the fact that we're getting a game that is much more my style, but is Bayonetta still, is delightful.
Speaking of delightful, one of the games I'm most hyped for from this Game Awards is a game that's already out, but is now coming to a console I can actually play it on. Returnal. God, was I hyped about Returnal. I've kept myself spoiler-free from Returnal. I know nothing about this game other than what I've seen in trailers, and now it's coming to PC.
Yeah, it is.
Also, talking about games getting ports that I can play now, Vampire Survivors went to mobile. I could have played it on PC. I'm not spending $10 on it. It is the perfect phone game, though. I've probably put 3 or 4 hours into it on mobile. Very good game. Very good on the phone. I can't imagine wanting to play it on PC, though.
Yeah, so there's another game that I saw, and I'm intrigued by, but I don't know if I want to play it. And that is from Epic Games and 505 Games, Crime Boss Rocket City. Apparently it's like a first-person heist game.
Dude, the cast
is what's mainly getting me. Fucking Michael Madsen, Kim Basinger, Damien Poitier, Danny Trejo, Danny Glover, fucking Michael Rooker, Vanilla Ice, and Chuck Norris. Like, what the fuck, man?
It's such a stacked cast. Kind of similarly, in some veins, there's some RPGs that got announced that I'm super excited for.
Yeah.
Blue Protocol is an MMORPG. I'm always getting excited about MMOs.
But then you remember their MMOs.
Yeah. So I'm excited about Blue Protocol. I probably will never play it and never care about it because it's an MMO. It's upsetting because I want to be into MMOs. I want to enjoy that genre, but the time commitment they want out of my life.
Yeah.
There was also Lords of the Fallen.
Yep.
Which looks like a Souls-like, not by FromSoft. It's a dark fantasy RPG. You play as one of the fabled Dark Crusaders and embark on a quest to overthrow the demon god. It sounds like a FromSoft game.
Yeah.
It looks like a FromSoft game, but
So I am really looking forward to Hellboy Web of Weird because Hellboy is a fantastic franchise, and it looks pretty. It looks much more like the comics. It looks like a fun time overall. And did I mention I like Hellboy?
Yeah, I think you mentioned that before. I have only 2 more games that I'm stoked for.
I have 2 more games that I'm also interested in.
Okay.
Proceed.
I'll go for next then with Starfield.
Okay.
Which I know is going to be a janky mess of a game because it's by Bethesda. But so Bethesda has a formula, right? They do medieval RPGs called Elder Scrolls, and then they do the same that same game in a post-apocalyptic nuclear winter called Fallout.
Yes.
And now they're doing that same game again in space.
Yeah.
It's going to be a janky mess. It's going to be a buggy mess, but it's going to be Fallout or Elder Scrolls in space, and that's enough for me.
So my next one is Atomic Heart's new trailer. Just made the game still look really fun and really cool. Again, it's mainly just from the aesthetic point. The gameplay looks kind of just like what I'd expect, kind of nothing new, really.
Nothing new, but looks very good. It's got a very Fallout-y vibe without being Bethesda. Here's the thing. If you can do Fallout and not make it a buggy, janky mess, I will love you forever.
Yeah.
Because that's what
Outer Worlds is.
That's what Outer Worlds did, and I fucking love Outer Worlds. Best companions I've ever experienced in a video game. I'm not much of a fan of companions, but Outer Worlds did it well. But yeah, if you can do Fallout and not make it a janky mess, I will love you forever, and that's what Atomic Hearts looks like to me.
Yeah.
But from Atomic Hearts to Wild Hearts looks legit. It's very Monster Hunter-y, but the thing that keeps me from being excited about Monster Hunter games is the amount of hours that they're needed to invest to be in Monster Hunter games. Wild Hearts looks more like a pick up and play. It's gonna have some RPG elements. It's gonna you're gonna have to put some time commitment in, but you're not gonna have to carefully craft a order of missions you need to do in order to make this weapon perfect so that you can have the best weapon for your character class.
Yeah, that's always been kind of the annoying part about Monster Hunter to me.
Monster Hunter is a great game with too much bookkeeping.
Monster Hunter has always been a game that I've enjoyed, but it has no story other than just I like to kill monsters.
Yeah, Wild Hearts looks like Monster Hunter if it had stories and less bookkeeping.
Exactly. So it looks more my speed. So my final game I'd like to mention, because I love me a good puzzle game, is Viewfinder.
Viewfinder, that's right. I remember this one.
The 3D interactive puzzle game where you seem to be using pictures and altering your environment with them.
The spiritual successor to Portal.
Or, more accurately, in my opinion, something much more similar to, say, Superliminal.
I did just say that because I knew it would, like, aggravate you.
It doesn't aggravate me. I just think it's the most basic comparison you could make.
It's the basic bitch comparison.
Yeah, like, sure, it's like Portal, as in, like, it's a puzzle game. It's also three-dimensional. That means it definitely has to be Portal. That's not necessarily true.
No, it's definitely got more Superliminal vibes. But yeah, the game looks great. Honestly, we've had a bunch of stuff to talk about. This has been a boatload of content for a interstitial.
All the editing's gonna be delightful.
Yeah, especially because we had some issues. But I think we're out of
topics and energy.
Mostly, yeah. Unless you want to, like.
Nope.
Okay.
I don't even know what you're gonna say, but the answer is no.
I was going to bring us down. I was going to be a bit of a downer at the end of the podcast with the Magic 30 debacle, but...
I don't care that much. I've already established I hate Magic. Well, the company that produces Magic.
The only thing I like about the whole debacle is it seems like, from everything we can find online, that WotC probably predicted about a 10,000 unit sell for this.
Yeah.
And sold less than 1,800.
Which is delightful.
Oh, God. Also, it has created a bit of an issue in, like, trade groups and buy and sell groups where, like, people are getting hated for, like, trying to sell these cards, and
yeah,
which is hilarious because they're not cards, they're proxies. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, WotC sucks, and we're at the end of our episode.
Yeah, we're at the end of the episode. So, if you want to tell us about your takes on Mogul Moves Chessboxing, if you watched the event,
what games you're excited for from the Video Game Awards, or what awards you think should have gone differently.
Horizon should have swept. Or if you've got a show that I should probably add to my list of, like,
essential watches,
let me know, because I will probably never watch it.
But we might do it for the podcast.
But you can do all of that. You can contact us and let us know any of that information that you have through a myriad of options. We have our Twitter at Copilots Review.
We have a Hive at Copilots Review, though I still don't know if that's up and working
Hive
yet.
is still dead.
Cool. So ignore that part.
We have an email at copilotsreview@gmail.com.
We have a Discord, which you can find by going to copilotsreview.simplecast.com, which will have a link to our Discord, our email, our Twitter, and our YouTube and Patreon.
Or you can find...
The YouTube is severely out of date.
Or you can find bonus content and video YouTube form content of our stuff. By video, I mean static images with our voices. And like you said, severely out of date. Anyways, hit us up with any of those things. If you had a creator that you were excited to see at Mogul Moves, or games you're excited for, or shows that you think people should watch that they haven't watched, any of that stuff. But until the 22nd, this is it for us. We'll see you then.
Catch you on the next flight.